Wetlands serve a unique and important service not only to the organisms that reside there, but they help by acting as hydrological buffers that stabilize the rate of flow that affects flooding and drought in surrounding ecosystems. However, wetlands and areas such as lakes and ponds are facing a number of challenges due to human activity. Nutrient excess from agricultural runoff, heavy metals from urban runoff, and industrial wastewater are all having profound effects on the waters directly adjacent to our land borders, all of which is now being further stressed by climate change. But scientists may have found a way to counteract these problems by bringing back the very ecosystems lost by these activities, wetlands, specifically bioengineered constructed floating wetlands, or CFWs. Still a relatively new concept and facing major evolutions in design, CFWs were first tested in Germany, followed by the US, Japan, and other European countries. CFWs quickly became a potential wastewater treatment option due to its low cost. CFWs are essentially floating islands filled with plants and roots that stretch downward from the surface of a body of water to absorb pollutants. However, the plants can't stay in the water forever because they can re-release pollutants back into the water and even the atmosphere. Since scientists are trying to use these plants to soak up and rid water ecosystems of pollution, they need to harvest the plants at the right time. Luckily, this process requires relatively little labor and is cheap. How did scientists figure out why wetland plants are the best suited for this task? Scientists from around the world have been observing and studying the negative impacts on adjacent ecosystems due to the loss of 50% of all global wetlands. As mentioned, wetlands act as hydrological buffers, and CFWs can take on this role due to the intricate root system of certain wetland plants used in these constructions, known as macrophytes. Because these macrophytes don't need to be planted into the bottom soil of water ecosystems, the roots are able to float in the water column and efficiently remove solids that are suspended in the water. They can also remove any sedimentation floating in the water. The roots can even transform pesticides into chemical compounds that make absorbance into the roots easier. CFWs offer numerous benefits to the health of water ecosystems, such as a habitat for biodiversity, and they can actually regulate water temperature and limit sunlight from causing too much algal growth by shading the surface. CFWs have a tremendous bottom-up effect on the ecosystem, meaning they can actually regulate the rest of the ecosystem and bring benefits to other organisms, which is why scientists are so keen on manipulating these natural plant systems to combat the damage human activity has caused. The biggest challenge by far to these types of ecosystems is nutrient excess, and most of the studies that have been conducted on CFWs are related to addressing this problem. Nutrient excess is the result of water runoff from agricultural areas that use herbicides, pesticides, and nutrients to grow food, which then leak into lakes, ponds, and estuaries from rainfall or are carried downstream from river systems. Just as nutrients help our crops grow, they also produce algal growth, which essentially suffocates water systems by depleting oxygen. This process of oxygen depletion is known as eutrophication and leads to the breakdown of the entire ecosystem and can kill all the fish in the water. Scientists are discovering that CFWs may even act as a natural algicide to curb the detrimental effects of eutrophication. To manage eutrophication, a study was recently published that focused on testing the effect on nutrient absorbance of certain types of plants. But not any plant will do, and scientists are now entering a new phase in the process of studying CFW effectiveness. They know CFWs work. Now they are on a mission to make them even more efficient. This study also considered how seasons and climates affect the plant's ability to absorb nutrients to make better templates for application. Not only does this help the scientific community to understand the process of nutrient absorbance by certain species of plants, It benefits the economy through the recreation, tourist, and fishing industries that many coastal communities depend on. CFWs offer businesses, the agricultural industry, and urban citizens a solution to curb their contribution to pollution. Local and state governments can use them as a solution to their goal of balancing economic needs with long-term sustainability and ultimately satisfy the growing desire of average citizens to protect the environment. All these benefits are thanks to bioengineering. Hybrid CFWs aren't just plants thrown together into the water. They are made of large nets that have been created from bamboo fiber, coconut, wood, pumice, or coarse peat. These hybrids connect natural processes with human ingenuity and offer a multitude of new and exciting applications of CFWs. For example, bioengineers can use artificial biofilms attached to root systems to make them more effective. The regulation of nutrients, mainly nitrogen and phosphorus, is the main purpose of CFWs. But there have been more studies on different uses for CFWs, such as the removal of organic pollutants, suspended solids, pesticides and herbicides, pharmaceutical products which can add antibiotics or hormones to ecosystems, personal care products like cosmetics, and heavy metals, all of which are detrimental to the balance of these fragile ecosystems. One study, CFWs, removed 90% of 3 types of herbicide within 9 days. So far, CFWs have been applied to stormwater quality improvement in various locations such as polluted ponds, lakes, reservoirs, and a coastal lagoon. Unfortunately, while some species were great nutrient removers, the current limitations to size and application of CFWs make it an inefficient way to treat wastewater. Another study focused on CFW potential as stormwater treatment over a 2-year period as an urban catchment. Their study resulted in the removal rate of suspended solids by 81%. The authors came to the same conclusion and suggest that CFWs can be improved by making them much larger. This means we might see greater applications in the near future. Yet another study focused on removal of metals. They found that specific assemblages of plant species are an important factor in boosting the removal process. Industrial water can carry high levels of calcium, potassium, and magnesium. This can disrupt traditional wastewater treatments by clogging wires and reducing drainage. They also can affect the removal of nutrients. They found that some species are more optimal due to well-developed roots that were better at trapping suspended sediments. China has been conducting studies on the application of floating constructed rice fields as a solution to nutrient excess, as well as another source of food. Rice feeds more people than any other crop, and its importance to China's increasing population cannot be undervalued. Many of their studies have even focused on the added variable of salinity in coastal ecosystems due to its proximity to the ocean. However, all these applications need to plan for climate change, which can significantly affect the efficiency of CFWs. Increased temperature, dry periods, rainfall intensity, and pollutant input are some of the effects of climate change. Higher temperature is the most important change that would affect removal of nutrients and will increase air and water temperature and lower oxygen, resulting in plant growth, an increase in salinity due to higher evaporation, and lower degradation rates for some pollutants. Dry periods will increase water temperature, the amount of sunlight and mixing of water. Rainfall will increase the water levels and nutrient input. Higher pollution input and concentrations could have toxic effects which bioengineers need to plan for in their construction of these floating wetlands. While much of the research and application of CFWs is still in the development phase, it is an exciting opportunity to utilize nature's ability to self-cleanse, to solve many of the problems created by human activity and reintroduce wetlands to areas that have been missing them.